If you thought Amazon KDP would be an easy way to make passive income, but now you're feeling stuck, frustrated, and unsure what to do next, you're not alone. Most authors start off excited only to realize there's a lot more to success on KDP than just uploading a book. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and what you can do to finally turn things around. We'll go through real book listings from our community, break down what's working, what's holding it back, and the changes that can help you get more visibility and more sales. All right, so let's get right into this video. Alright, and in case you're new to the channel, Cleo and I have sold over 240,000 books between our different KDP accounts. And we also have a free Facebook group with over 230,000 authors in it. And with our self-publishing Titans tools, we have helped over 300,000 authors publish their books on Amazon. So that's just a quick thing about us. All right, so let's check the first book here to see what we can do to help this person get more sales. So with our self-publishing Titans Chrome extension, we can see that this has a bestseller rank of 4 million. And obviously the higher that number is, the less they are selling. And here we can see in the last 30 days, there's really nothing happening. So let's take a look at the actual listing. So here the title says, "For the Caregiver, an affirming journaling and activity book for burnout, balance, and peace." So I think one of the biggest mistakes is already in the subtitle here. The title was okay. Nothing special about it, but it was fine. But then here, an affirming journaling and activity book. So affirming journaling, that's not an exact match keyword on Amazon. Affirmation journal, that would be like an exact match keyword, but affirming journaling, that's just not what people are searching for. And then mixing that with an activity book, I guess it's a creative idea, but it doesn't quite seem to be the best kind of combination. I haven't really seen that selling well. So I think that's the next problem. I think it would be much better if it was an affirmation journal or notebook by itself. And then here we have burnout, balance, and peace. So those words are nice, but they really don't go with an activity book. So with an activity book, you kind of want to have words like relaxing or stress relief and things like that. Those are keywords that people are actually searching for on Amazon. These will not be the main keywords. So far we have the title, that's okay, but then the rest of the subtitle is not only bad for SEO and for the search rankings on Amazon because they're not really the best keywords. This also won't really give you a high click-through rate when a potential buyer is reading that because it just kind of doesn't flow, it doesn't kind of mix, and it's not really what people are looking for. So the subtitle and title is really important because that's the first thing they see when they search for something on Amazon. So in these search results, you will see the book cover, the title, the subtitle, you will see the price, and your reviews or the ratings and how many reviews there are. So based on that data, someone will make a decision whether to click on this listing or not. And personally, this subtitle right here would never get me to click on it. So that's just a kind tip that you also want to not only optimize your title for SEO and for keywords, but we also want to optimize this for a potential buyer. So what would they like to read and click on? So you kind of have to think with that. So that should be quite a helpful tip for your next books. Let's look at your cover. So for the Caregiver, so that looks okay. My main critique here is that we have a spacing on the left side, which seems unnecessary because here we have the black line touching on the right margin. And then here it says affirming journaling and activity book for burnout, balance, and peace, which is also fine. So just one tip is that if you have your title's text on your spine as part of your cover design, you don't have to have all the text on the front of your cover. So sometimes it's good to have your subtitle on the cover, but sometimes it's just too much text and then it looks cluttered and a bit overwhelming with text. And if you just look at our Chrome extension here, this is part of our Titans AI tool. Just looking at this on a thumbnail size, we can see that this text is almost impossible to read already. You can kind of read it, but it also depends on the person's eyesight. So this is not really the ideal size, especially on mobile, it will be even slightly smaller. So I would definitely change that a bit. And while we're here with our Titans AI suggestions, we can look at the improvement quickly. And it says the title and subtitle text blends a bit into the background due to the soft beige and light brown tones, which may reduce readability in small thumbnail views on Amazon. So exactly what I was saying. The font style, while gentle, lacks contrast and could be more visually distinct to improve initial clarity. So another tip here. And under the opportunity, it says to elevate the cover's performance, introducing a bolder contrasting color either in the title text or as an accent background behind the title could make it pop more, highlighting the unique selling point of including 3 free guided audios more dynamically, perhaps with a brighter badge or icon, could also draw additional attention and appeal to purchasers looking for added value. So that's also fine. Overall, I feel like this book doesn't look like an activity book or a journal. It almost looks like a high content book to me personally. And I'm also not really the biggest fan of having the text here that says included 3 free guided audios. And audios is also kind of like a strange word. If it's an audiobook, then that's okay. I would probably have that as one of the bullet points early on in your description. This just also feels kind of odd because if you're buying an activity book, someone is not really looking for an audiobook. And if someone's looking for a journal, they're also not looking for an audiobook. So the bonus is a nice touch, but I feel like it also has to be presented in the correct way. And just that by itself could also get you less clicks, because if someone doesn't want an audiobook and that's the main message on the cover, then it's just not as exciting or appealing. So I would probably change that and just make that a bullet point. So these would be the main tips I have here for your cover. And now that we're looking at your description, we can already see that before the read more button, the bullet points are cut off. So that's another thing that we want to avoid, because with your description, the most important parts are your 5 bullet points. And those should be right at the beginning so someone can see it without clicking read more, because not every potential buyer will have enough interest and reach to actually find out more. So if they don't see what they're looking for here, they can either click backwards or scroll down to look at other competitors. So you really have only one shot at getting a sale. So you really want to put your best bullet points right at the top so you don't have to click more. And then here we can also see that we have 3 bullet points here. We can also have 5 bullet points here and then 4 more here. So it's just way too many bullet points. So I would also suggest that you kind of either delete some or combine some just to make it a little bit easier for someone to read and really get the full concept of your book. And then I would put it just below this line right here. So let's look at your A+ content. Okay, so you have A+ content, which is good news. Good job and well done. The one thing I quickly just noticed is that here these icons are not really spaced correctly. On the left side, we can see there's a smaller space than on the right side. So it's just a bit inconsistency. And then the same goes for the text. So it's not really centered. The space on the right side is much smaller than on the left side. So these are just smaller points, but it just adds up to a whole image, and this makes it look more professional when things are done right. So I would highly encourage you to just center that just so it looks better. And since this is an activity book also, I would definitely show some activities, and the activities should show right at the beginning. And then the same goes for a journal book. So since this is also a journal, you can also show what kind of journal it is. You can show a preview example of one of the main pages or even 2 pages. And that would be much more value instead of just text, because this right here is fine, but you want to visually also present value and make it more clear what your book is about, and this just doesn't do it. So here we can see that, but I think this is a little bit too small. I can't really fully easily read this text right here. So a better execution would have been to put 2 on one image so it can be much larger, and if needed you can put 2 more below it, and that would have been better so a person can actually see it. And this page, while it looks nice, I'm not really sure what that is. So it says unique ink tracing art pages for relaxation. So ink tracing, this to me doesn't look like a tracing kind of image, and I've also not seen that. So that could just be me being ignorant, not being familiar with this kind of niche. But I can tell you that I myself would not know how to trace all of these white lines. So it somehow doesn't make sense to me. So this already would not make me want to buy it. And then here, it looks like we have different colored backgrounds, which is fine. But then for an activity kind of book, here looks like you have 130 pages and the price is $12.99. So it doesn't seem like this is actually a colored page book. So I would also make this black and white so a person can actually see what they're getting. And then here, small critique, we can see the black borders here, but then on this image it's cut off, and then same thing here, also cut off. And we can see here that this one is a little bit higher than the one on the right side. So I would also fix that. It's just these slight points that all really make up the whole image. I do like that we have comparisons to other books. Let's look at your categories. So self-help and psychology humor. So this is a wrong choice. categories are really important. Not only do they help you get a potential bestseller badge, but they also help you with your Amazon SEO, because Amazon uses the categories as part of understanding what your book is about and then ranking your books organically for certain keywords in certain categories. So you have an activity book and a journal, so humor doesn't really quite fit in that. And then here you have humorous coloring books for grown-ups, but your title was more about journaling and activity book. So we did see one coloring page image in your A+ content, but Amazon doesn't use your A+ content as part of the search algorithm. So there's just another mistake and missed opportunity here. So I would also change that category. And then art therapy and relaxation, potentially okay, but for sure guaranteed I would change the first two categories. So here we have no reviews. Just one thing to mention, the more that Amazon gets competitive, the more you definitely want to have reviews. At first, it can only be a couple that would already help you, but having a few 5-star reviews or 4-star reviews or whatever it ends up being is just so much better than having no reviews. Back in the day, a couple of years ago, this was not as important, but these years it becomes more and more important. You can still have success without reviews, but if you have reviews, it just helps you get a better click-through rate and a potential higher conversion rate. And you can go to selfpublishingtitans.com and click on the ARC reviews right here. This is a brand new advanced reader copy service that we launched, and it might be for you, or look for an alternative that is also fine. But this one right here, it's brand new, 100% compliant with the Amazon rules, which is unique compared to the other choices. So once again, just to quickly recap, the main thing to fix here is for sure your title, guaranteed, your cover also, your description, and then your A+ content. But the main thing to focus on is for sure your subtitle here. And all of these reasons combined will be exactly why you're not getting any sales. So all of these tips can be applied to this book, but then also to all of your future books. And if you need more help, I would love to help you with your next books, just to continue guiding you. But I do wish you best of luck, and let's check the next one. So this book here, we have a coloring book for adults. So you can see this has a bestseller rank of 7 million and is also not getting any sales. And just in case you're curious what extension this is, we're using the Self-Publishing Titans Chrome extension right here. So if you go to the Google Chrome store and type in Self-Publishing Titans, it'll be the bottom extension right here. These two extensions are our previous extensions, and this brand new one is all of them combined into one. And this has our Titans AI as part of it as well, and all of our upgrades and updates and new tools are getting added to this one. So if you have these two, you can uninstall them and just install this one going forward. That has everything you need, and that'll be what you see here. So let's look at this book to see what's happening here. So the title says Stained Glass Horses Coloring Book for Adults, Teens, and Kids, perfect for relieving stress and anxiety. So this has to be almost like a world record title in terms of the length. So for a main title, definitely way too long. So when it comes to your titles and subtitles, the best practice is to have your title rather short and then make up the rest of the keywords and text in your subtitle. Like for example, if you were to tell somebody what the title of your book is, now you have to tell them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 words. Even for yourself, it'd be hard to kind of remember what your title of your book is. So definitely way too long, and probably already one of the reasons you're not really getting sales. But besides the length, I do like the keywords. Coloring book for adults, which is good, and then stained glass, so we're kind of niching down. The next critique and kind of mistake here is that you're targeting adults and kids, and Amazon often doesn't really like that, and sometimes they can even reject your book because they don't think that this is suitable, because adults are very different than kids. So in most cases, what works the best is targeting either kids by themselves, but if you do want a slightly larger audience, then having teens and kids is okay. Or having adults and teens, that can also slightly work, but better than that would be seniors and adults. So that would be just another thing that you can do. And also this right here could also be one reason you're not getting sales, because if an adult is looking for an adult coloring book and you're also targeting kids, then they can feel like it's not really for them. Or if someone is trying to buy a book for kids, but then they see the keyword adults in it, they can feel like it might be too difficult for them. So this right here is definitely something you should never do for that reason as well. And here it says perfect for relieving stress and anxiety, so that's fine. A better sequence would have been stress relief. That's an actual keyword that is searched for more, but the fact we do have it in here to some degree is good. Anxiety is fine. And then the subtitle says creative, original, stained glass designs for relaxation for horse enthusiasts. So relaxation is fine. Stained glass is a duplicate word. So that's definitely wasted space. And original is also not really needed. I don't see that being important as part of your subtitle. Creative is fine, but if you have stained glass kind of coloring pages, you kind of expect it to be creative. So we could have also gotten rid of that. The reason I'm saying that is because we have 3 lines of your title, which is just way too long overall. So if you can just reduce that, make it a bit more clear to a potential buyer, that's also much better. Because if you think about it, someone has to click on your listing and now they see all of these words. It can either be overwhelming for them, it could be confusing, or they don't even feel like reading the whole thing and then just click out because there's way too much for them. If you can have a short and concise title and subtitle that just has the actual main keywords and describers for this book, it's just much clearer, it's much better. It will help you not only with your click-through rate from buyers, but also with your organic rankings on Amazon. Because if you think about it, the more keywords you give Amazon, the harder it is for them to figure out what your main keywords are that they should rank you for. So this can also be confusing or overwhelming for the algorithm, because are they targeting adults? Are they targeting teens, kids? What kind of coloring book is it? Is it, it's just, there's way too many options and made too many things, and then you're kind of diluting your power with that book for each keyword. Just something to keep in mind. Let's look at your cover. So the first thing I can tell you is that this font and this black outline is really hard to read, especially just if it's smaller. So let's just open up the Titans AI tool quickly. Here we're just looking at some competitors in your subcategory. So this is a really useful tool, and this is actually free, this portion of this tool, just so you can see how does your book compare to others. So if you look at this book right here, you can easily see that this is a coloring book, and most of the text is also really large and easy to read. But then if you look at your book here, the color is also kind of dark, and you definitely cannot see this text at all. You can only see it if you zoom in. So that's one thing we'll definitely have to change. And here, just one thing to mention with the Titans AI Analyzer, you can also have a score here that goes from 0 to 100, and you always want to have this as close to 100 as possible. So you can use that not only for yourself, but also looking at competitors' books. But the other thing I would change here is I would probably make these colors a lot brighter so it pops more. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of the brown. It kind of looks a little bit unexciting. I understand why we have brown, but I just don't think it's the best execution of it. Like one of these images that has a kind of like frame around it could have been a little bit nicer. And then the other thing is we kind of have this book placed on like a wooden background. So it's not even part of the book itself. So it kind of is a little bit odd that we put an image or the actual book cover slanted on the actual background. It's not really one of the best or common practices when it comes to a cover design. And then another slight point for improvement would be just also centering the text. So here we can see there's very little space on the left side, but so much space on the right side. So it's also just a little bit odd having it off center. And then these images here, I like the idea of showing more pages, but I don't think this is the best execution. And this is more for the back cover. So right here, you can have as many pages as you want to show your quality designs, but this is not really a common practice to have it on the front of your cover. One thing you can do is not color in the entire horse, so you can see that this is a coloring page, but it's definitely not having 4 images on the right side. So it's just a bit unusual. And when it comes to Amazon KDP, it's much better just going with the trends and going with what's normal, and that will just give you much better results. So looking at your description here, you have 3 paragraphs, which is nice. But the one thing we are missing for sure is the bullet points. We don't have any. And then we also don't have a starting sentence for the description. So the ideal scene is having 1 sentence right at the top, and then that leading straight into your bullet points. And the best number of bullet points would be 5. So definitely want to have that near the top. And one thing you can also have at the very end in its own sentence or paragraph is just a small call to action for someone to scroll up and buy your book now. So looking at your A+ content, we don't have any, unfortunately. So that's definitely a missed opportunity. So I highly encourage you to have that. And in your A+ content, we can show these images. That's definitely one of the best things you can do with A+ content for a coloring book. We can also have a lifestyle image with someone coloring in a page in your book, or someone holding your coloring book, and that's really making it fun. So looking at your categories, we have art therapy and relaxation, which is fine, and then animal coloring books for grown-ups. So since these are animals, that could suit. So you did a good job on the categories. And in here we have a profile image, which is fine. I guess this is a brand. One thing you could do, since you're using a personal name potentially, is also having an image of yourself, just to make it more relatable and more real life. But this is otherwise fine. And then you do have a description here, so which is good. Great job. So yeah, so this would be my feedback for you. Improve all of those things for this book and your next coloring books, and I think you'll slowly start seeing more progress. Once again, if you make these changes for this book or make it for a new book, I'd love to continue helping you. And let's check the next one. Okay, so once again, we have a book that is not getting any sales. So let's take a look why. The first thing I can already tell you is having a white cover background is a terrible idea, because here we can obviously see that it just blends in with the Amazon website. So it kind of looks really odd. It doesn't look like a book. This by itself right here is probably one of the main reasons you're not getting any sales, and then the rest of the cover design as well. But the white background for sure is a big no-no. So one thing you never want to do again and definitely fix. But let's continue with the title here. So teach me to pray, that's okay, short and sweet. And then a child's prayer journal. So overall, the title and subtitle is now too short. So we kind of have the opposite now. And the other thing that we're missing here is your main keywords. So we always want to have a nice long tail keyword, if possible, in your title or subtitle, most likely always in your subtitle. And for that, we would use our Chrome extension, the one I showed you earlier. And this part of the Chrome extension, the way it works is you just type in a keyword, and you can either wait a second and then it should pop up. If it doesn't pop up, you can add a space or click on the icon on the right side, and then you should see this pop up. So for the free version, you get unlimited keywords, which is for most of you sufficient. But if you have the paid version, which is a subscription or a one-time lifetime payment, then you also get the estimated monthly search volume, you get the amount of competitors, you also get a demand score and an opportunity score. And the way these scores work is 9 is the highest and 1 and 0 would be the lowest. So we want to find something ideally with a score of 5 or higher in both the demand and the opportunity. Obviously the higher the better, but we don't have to have impossible standards. So as long as we have a 5, then that's okay. And if you're trying to get organic rankings, the more important score would be the opportunity. So here we can see prayer journal is already pretty good. There's only 1,200 results. But the more niche down we go, the better, because not only does it help you rank even easier, but if it's a long tail keywords, you also have even more keywords that Amazon can rank you for. So your title can help rank you on many, many different keywords and variations. So the more keywords you have in your title and subtitle, the better. But we obviously don't want it to be too long, because once it's too long, it looks kind of spammy, it looks stuffed, and it can even confuse the Amazon search algorithm. So you want to get as many keywords in without looking spammy and with still being clean looking. So prayer journal notebook, now that's 3 words long, a little bit better. So prayer journal for girls 6 to 8. So that's like nice and long tail keywords. So that's like kind of a sweet spot. We can also see that boys is pretty good. Catholic girls prayer journal, prayer book for boys. So those would be the keywords I would try targeting, because the longer tail keyword it is, the easier it'll be to rank. And then also the more keywords and surrounding niches you can rank for, because a prayer journal for boys or for girls can also rank for just prayer journal. So with a long tail keyword, you get really specific, but it also gives you an opportunity to rank really broad keywords as well. So that's just one tip there. So looking at the rest of your cover, this is just overall also too simple, besides just having a completely white background. And here, this is like letter tracing kind of paper here, so it's kind of confusing for me. This doesn't really give me a concept of a prayer journal. And then here, I guess this is creative with the different text in the hand, but a hand also would make me think of praying. So for praying, I would probably, if you want to use any icons, have a praying icon or some church symbol or icon or image. And overall, this is just a little bit too simple looking. So if design isn't your strong suit, you can also hire somebody on Fiverr to help you with that. And for simple covers, you can find somebody between $10 and $20 usually. So if you have a little bit of a budget, do that. Otherwise, go back to Canva and just look for some templates, and I think that would really help you. Looking at the description, I like how long it is, so great job on that. Unfortunately, I don't see any bullet points, so that's something we definitely want to fix as well, and put those bullet points right below this main line here. So let's look at the rest. We also have an A+ content. So once again, big missed opportunity. In your A+ content, you can show somebody holding the journal or writing in a journal. You can also show just the interior pages so they can see what kind of journal it is. And that would also help you with higher conversion rates if done right. So the categories here are children and teens, Christian education, and Christian living books. So those seem fine. So good job on choosing some relevant categories. We can see we have 1 review rating, which is better than nothing. So yeah, overall, the main missed opportunity here is your keywords in your title and just it being really short. And then the main thing is here just the cover design. So that would be the biggest mistake and missed opportunity. So I think if you make those changes, that will really help you. Since this was published in 2022, I would probably just unpublish this and republish, publish under a different author name. Because when you publish a book newly, Amazon will often boost it in the organic rankings while it's testing the book to see how it will do. And it doesn't generally do that with older books. Sometimes they can do that, but with new books, that's very common. So new books have a much better chance of doing well on Amazon than older books. So yeah, this is it for today's video. If you want more free daily training, make sure to subscribe, and then I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.